Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from quarternight.com. Today is Friday the 1st of October 2021 and I'd like to just make a short video. I know short videos not normally my thing, but regarding where we are on the rollout of the new form of tyranny which we've all come to know and love under the image of an injection being forced into you that you didn't want and is going to not do anything good to you. When this first happened, I understood that it was just the next phase of the same agenda. We've had, in fact, to be perfectly honest, I was surprised that it took them as long as it did. After 9/11, it was quite clear that things would never be the same again, and it was completely obvious, I think, to anyone with a functioning brain that there was no way that that was the result of a bunch of Arabs who couldn't fly Cessnas, etc. So clearly, once that part of the agenda was in, we were in a new part of the plantation, and things were never going to go back to how they had seemed to be before. Clearly, the same people who owned that agenda own this agenda. And I think, though, in 2020, at the beginning thereof, when this new cult, this new ideology was rolled out, it was the first time that people had really been impacted. I mean, clearly after 9/11, it meant that you had no real freedoms, no real privacy and all the rest of it, but you could kind of roll along, and just bend over at the airports and go through this ritual humiliation. And I think that in some ways was basically training for this, and I understood that at the time, and I thought that they were going to roll this out with one of the SARS or bird flu things, but clearly those projects didn't quite work for them. But now they've done it. And what I want to comment upon is that when this started, I thought, no, they've got it. They've caught the wave this time. But I could see that where we are now in the bigger picture, in terms of this line item of the agenda, is really phase one. And the reason why I say this is because of what's happened over the last few months. They started off with this ridiculous narrative in the UK, at least. I mean, I wasn't in the UK at that time, but being British, I follow what's going on, at least what you can get from the satanic media in the UK, with people, standing at their houses and clapping these poor people working in the hospitals. Clearly didn't have much to do because the hospitals are largely empty. As they rolled out this agenda of creating a mechanism by which they can regulate the economy. They can turn it up, they can turn it down, they can put all the small businesses out of business, they can close down the logistics. Everything can be ascribed to this new sort of demon, I suppose. And whilst the big businesses are going great guns, I mean, if you invested in Amazon, you'd have made a killing over the last couple of years. So that happened, and we had this ludicrous kind of clapping all of the heroes. Now they've turned around and started forcing those people to bend over too, and if they won't do it, they're going to lose their jobs, which means they're going to lose their livelihoods. And certain people experience some kind of schadenfreude at this, thinking, well, you kind of deserve it. You know what I mean? You were implementing a plan and now it's coming back to bite you. But my point is this is bigger than this. I live in Russia and I have some understanding of Russian history and some understanding of how socialism works. And the way it works is this, and this is really my point, is that they always have to kind of purge. There are always purges. There's a continual state of purges, and that's what they're doing now. And the reason why they're doing it is because they have to get rid of all of the people with integrity in certain key services. And these are education, laughingly so-called, medicine, again, now laughingly so-called, media, and law enforcement. So what this stage is, since this first started up until now moving forward, it's about purging the ranks. And the reason why they need to do that is they want to get everybody out of those key services, because when phase two hits, the real phase, we're not in that yet. This, in my opinion, this is a beta test. They want to have all the good people out of those services. So there's going to be no one who's going to question it. Just think what Hitler did, what Stalin did. That's what's going on here. Both Hitler and Stalin were both socialists, okay? So when people tell you that they're socialists, just think of those two men whose activities were entirely socialist, though from different points of view. One was a class-based socialism, and the other was a race-based socialism. But they're both socialism. This is socialism. And the phase we were in prior to this was really just a softening up of the particularly Western societies. And there have been various tools that they've used over the last 100 years to do this, key amongst which was weaponizing women and creating feminism, which is completely anti-feminine and designed to destroy the family. They know that if they can destroy the family, you're done, you're cooked. No one will stand up for you. And I'm not inveighing against women. It's just that they know they can sell to women. Women are the purchasers. Women buy most of the stuff. And they've bought this idea. They've just sold to them like you would sell the idea of smoking cigarettes or makeup or whatever it is. It's just sold to them as an ideology, and they've bought it. And because they basically said to them, you can do what you like. You don't have any responsibilities whatsoever. You can walk out of a marriage for no reason. You can just decide that you're going to dump this guy and take all his money. And if you give people that sort of power, well, unsurprisingly, they take it. So I'm not blaming women. They're just following their nature. We've been very, very well studied. But that's just one thing. Then there's a sodomite agenda, which is completely designed as to demoralize the society. Because once they get you kind of paying lip service to something that you just know is revolting and wrong, well then they get you, you see, and then the next step and the next step and the next step. And that's where we were. That's where we were on the timeline up until 2 years ago. Well, now the pretense of some sort of democracy, whatever we mean by that, or freedom, whatever we used to mean by that, that's all gone. That's going away. It's never ever coming back. But my point is that this stage in the bigger picture, in the bigger kind of new cult on the block picture, this is phase one. Yes, people have died from a wide range of causes, but essentially it's an accounting procedure. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of it, but it is an accounting procedure, and it's an ideology. It's basically a dogma. It has to be believed. Well, in order to force that upon everyone else, they have to get rid of anyone who can see through that and is going to speak up. And the way you do that is you make everybody bend over and take the jab. That's what you do. And then those people are totally compromised. They're compromised financially, they're compromised professionally, they're compromised genetically, they're compromised spiritually. And what you do is you cleanse those cohorts of the implementation arms of the New World Order. And then once those have been purged, once they're basically uniform, there's no dissenting voice and no one who sees what's going on. And at least even if they see what's going on, it's too late, because they've had their genetics played with and their finances and everything else, and they're professionally compromised. Then you go for the real phase, the real rollout, because those people are, and this is a characteristic of socialism, are driven by, actually, I know it's an overused word, but hatred and envy. They hate the people that they're after, and having succumbed to and been forced to submit to this whole system, they want nothing more than to make you do the same. Now, let's assume that with this first phase, they've been using a sort of a lightweight, weaponized version of flu, which I think is about right. What happens with the next one when there's a real one? I mean, a real thing. So that's my view on it. I think that what they're doing is that this is a test case. This is a beta test. They're preparing the decks for the real rollout, And I think they really do have, they do have something planned, but they needed to get rid of everyone first. And they did it in the media, as you would have noticed if you lived in the UK, but by means of something called the Levinson Report, which, of course, purported to care about you and your freedoms and rights. But actually what it did was get rid of anybody or muzzle anyone in the media, anyone who was left. And there weren't an awful lot of people at that time who could have said anything. So the media has been totally purged. That's what this phase is about. It's a purging process. It's a monitoring process. I don't mean they're listening to everybody's individual tweets and what have you, but they'll have they'll have an idea of who everybody is now because of their online life, and you'll be just basically given a color code, or number between 1 through 10, whatever they are, stupid and suppliant, all through to kind of potentially dangerous and free thinking. And in my view, I don't have any objective data to back this up. I think what will happen in the real rollout is, depending on what number you've got, that will be what you'll get. That will be the injection that they'll give you, depending on how they want to use you, how long they want to keep you around, etc. And in order to do that, because there are going to be too many people, too close to the kitchen who will know what's going on, they have to purge those key agencies first. And that's what this phase is about. It's not about the people who've died. It's not about, it may be about that too, but it's primarily about this. They're preparing the decks for the next move. So that's how I see it. We're in phase 1. They're getting ready for phase 2. I'm not here to promote fear porn or anything like that. And as I say often on my channel, there's no VIP lounge the other side of death. They're all going to the same place we're all going to. They're all going to have to give an account one day for what they've done. But, it's worth knowing where you are and what your enemy is doing. And that's, in my opinion, where we are and what they're doing. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope everyone's well. I hope to drop a video perhaps in the next few days, and we'll see how that goes. And bye for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Quran and all other work free using the button in the top right hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Quran alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop down below to donate if you would like to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short, eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.